This podcast has topics in relation to death, suicide and drug use. This may be confronting for some listeners.
As veterans and first responders, we also use some dark humour in this episode. We ask that you keep in mind that dark humour is a timeless and research-supported method.
I just wanted to use that for dark humour.
I was like...
I know, you were killing it. You were killing it. Hang on.
3, 2, 1. How I've missed the road tune. Our familiar old friend.
The old Imposter Cast. Here we go. 2 out of 3. Fedora can't be with us because he's too cool. He's got no time for us anymore, but that's fair enough. So, that's it.
We're back.
Yeah, we're back.
From a very long sabbatical.
Sabbatical means a lot more to you now, I think, than it used to. What are we doing? We're doing the farewell episode.
Yeah.
Wrapping the old girl up.
Winding it down.
Well, been paying for the subscription for the last 12 months without even releasing anything.
Things are costly to maintain in the digital world.
They are. Everything is nowadays a little bit more carried away. Like there's a subscription to 400 different things nowadays, and they're like, even if they're like $4 each, and if you have 15 of them, now you're looking at whatever that means, $80.
Bogged down in it.
Yeah. What do you want to go with, Hal? Do you want to go with where you've been, what's been going on?
Yeah, we can do. I mean, yeah, you continued and did some interviews after I had withdrawn, had bailed on you.
Yeah.
So I think we just wanted to sort of wind things down and you're going to move on to some other socials and podcasting. So,
well, to be fair, you are welcome.
Well, thank you.
You are welcome back in the future if you want to get involved. If you want to get involved in anything, I think the biggest thing was sort of do we keep going with this or do we go somewhere else? I've obviously, we're in this room now. I've painted it. There's a TV here. I've made a studio.
Lovely podcasting room.
Well, to be fair, I think I made it ages ago now. I can't remember when I've done it. And I still haven't done anything with it because I've been busy doing my own stuff. But it was definitely, I mean, this was on the cards when we spoke about it at the start. We wanted to get cameras. We wanted to get everything else and get that whole thing sorted out. We just never really got to it. And then I've sort of slowly been adding to it. And it's funny that technology's gone a lot faster than I've been doing. Like we're using the old road mics, which are fine. But, like they're literally plugged into a device where everything now
wires like a bunch of cavemen.
Yeah, exactly. Even just our headphones are wired in. You see all the people now, they've all got earbuds and all that sort of stuff. I'm over here sitting I'm thinking I'm really cool because I've got my Sony noise cancelling headphones and now you can do that with earbuds. I like the way I'm talking like we've been doing this since the 70s. It was literally, we did it in, when was the first one? Like January 24?
January 24 we were just looking at. Yeah, so it's quite strange that it's been over 2 years. Doesn't feel that way.
Well, we didn't go live till April.
Okay.
We didn't do the first episode till the 7th.
We recorded 35 before we ever put anything out.
Yeah, I think the first 5 were probably more just us venting for our mental health, really.
Tapping the microphone and saying and everywhere.
Yeah, or we'll even just, we kept going on rants. I think everybody's
there was some venting to get out of the way for sure.
I think everyone's in a different spot now, so it's a little bit more chilled, a little bit more relaxed. But yeah, so like we're looking at, I want to say me, it's like me and a bunch of other different people. That's also been a thing, is trying to get somebody to commit to doing something consistently is not really a thing. Like everybody's super busy now. The funny thing's been like with the podcast is, I still talk to most of the people on there. Like Jarryd and I are now doing, obviously I'm turning up in most of in a lot of the reels now that are there.
Props on the reels, I think it's brilliant, the little skits you guys have been doing, especially evolving to the police comedy. It was there for the taking.
Yeah, it is. But the funny thing is too, like since doing that, obviously we've been, and obviously I was at Invictus as well and met a lot of veterans there, but a lot of the veterans a lot of them weren't keen on doing sport, but they're actually pretty keen to get into creative stuff. Like one of the boys now he's writing scripts and he's doing short films. Always people getting murdered in his short films. So
acting out some frustrations.
Yeah. But so Ty's doing that. He's got a film that he did, but he's put it into, I think it's the St Kilda Film Festival. So he's entered something in there. One of the other boys, Richo, he's been doing painting, and his paintings look, they're impressive, but also they're the sort of paintings that, you know, when kids turn up to the school in horror movies and you're like, oh, that kid's not.
Yeah.
He's seen some things. It's like,
Great effort there.
yeah, but the teacher needs to go and see a psych afterwards. I think that there was another thing too. Like we did that Waves of Wellness thing. And the funny thing was the dark humour was, I felt bad for the psych. It was that thing.
Yeah, waves of unwellness.
Yeah.
I got triggered in the wave pool.
Well, the funny thing was you were coming, an hour and a half most days to come in, and you were on the beach. So it was funny for you to come in and do the wave pool. And then
it's a very different, it's such an amazing learning tool to have that repeated wave in urban surf. But yeah, I think that was odd because we thought we had the whole pool and then we didn't, and there was a bit of surfer attitude in a wave pool, which is why I stopped going out into the ocean. So it was it was interesting. But it was great to get a bunch of the lads together, and especially most of them hadn't surfed before. So I ended up just enjoying sitting back or, watching them or pushing them into waves. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, we were on the big inflatable boards and stuff. And then one of the boys has bought 3 boards now.
Nice.
Well, because he got a 6-foot thruster or whatever that means, but it was well under what he needed. And
yeah, we all do it. We all think we can. Yeah, I've gone the other way to the largest 9.6 that's available now. So
yeah, nice.
That's where I should have started, of course.
But it's funny, the difference between doing the ESO world, the ex-service organisation world. You bump into Open Arms and some other ones, and they've got a lot of people that are ex-military, etc., who then will speak to you about it, and it's a completely different vibe because they know where you're coming from. They also you can make bad jokes and they don't actually lock you up for it. Whereas if you do it with a civvy, you're like, oh geez, live laugh. We have live laugh toaster bath t-shirts. And it's you can't wear that in Civvy Street and have them.
Pretty sure the psych on Waves of Wellness hadn't heard some of the stuff that came out on that course.
That's what I mean. He was a civilian one. But he was very interested, and I think he was definitely learning where he was like, geez, that's concerning. That's concerning. No, they're all laughing.
Dark humour is your only form of humour.
yeah. And they're like, oh, they're outdoing each other now. Excellent. And then you could just see him going, I actually don't know how to section people or not here. This sounds like it's just standard practice for them. But yeah, so that was fun. But those boys now, we went and saw some ice hockey together, and then we're all movie stars now. We're all driving G-Wagons after War Machine. That's some pretty big deals there.
I watched with a magnifying glass and didn't see you at all.
That's a pause button you need. It's not so much the magnifying glass. Yeah. Split seconds.
What was quite eerie watching War Machine is that you and I recorded your audition together, where you were, what's his name, main guy?
I was being a cadre. So
it was audition for one of the main instructors. And when I heard that in the movie, it was haunting because we'd been over those lines 100 times.
Yeah.
And it wasn't you. I wasn't looking at you on the screen.
No.
You didn't get cast as an American cadre. How disappointing.
No, it's brutal. And then the funny thing was, other stuff happened there. We were up in Brighton. We're doing a boot camp, which is not what I applied for. I applied for cadre. I was supposed to sit in the back of a car.
Days are long gone.
No. I don't know when they were, but they're definitely gone now.
Cardio days, I should say.
Yeah. I was supposed to be in the back of a Humvee yelling at people. That was my plan. Hence why I applied for the cadre, which is supposed to be 35 to 45, which I'm in that range. And then the recruits were supposed to be, I think 20 to 28 at most, which I was not pulling off. And especially when I shave my head, my hair goes white. So it was but they pulled me out. We were doing these runs with packs. These were the best pillow packs I've ever seen. I've come from aviation, and these packs were lighter than I used to have.
Yeah, right.
But
so there was no method acting in the equipment.
Yeah, but the director came past, grabbed me, and goes, "Mate, you need to go to the back." He's like, "There's no way we can pretend that you're 25." I was like, "I know, bro. Talk to your casting agent. They put me here. I didn't do it." So that was pretty funny. But then everyone laughed at me for being an old man going down the back. So,
what's old Reacher mate's name? I always forget the actor.
Alan Richardson.
Rickson. Yeah. As one of the boys was saying, he's not the giant that he's made out to be on television. Was that he's obviously jacked?
Who was this bloke saying that? Was he 7 foot?
Yeah, but like, don't
Alan's
they
massive.
make him out to be 6'8" or something like that?
Oh, yeah, Reacher's supposed to be in the books. I think he's supposed to be 6'6".
Yeah.
But like real life, he's probably 6'5", 6'6".
Oh, okay.
Like he's like he's a
still
big. He's a big dude.
Maybe I misheard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I'm almost 6'2",
Yeah. Okay.
and he's like he was intimidating. Did you ever meet Pete?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Pete's his.
I think
Pete
it
was
might
his
have been
stand-in.
Pete that said, yeah,
Oh, but Pete's a big dude.
big, but he's not 6'5" or something.
Pete,
Yeah. Is
a doorway 6'6".
Yeah, okay.
But he's like Pete goes sideways through doors.
Yeah.
Hope he doesn't listen to this because he'll hear me talking him up. But yeah,
And the final scene, that was Pete in the helicopter with the one-liner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, actually, that was the director, the guy with the beard, right at the end. Director made a cameo. Pete was sitting next to him.
Yeah. I'm
Pete
sure.
might have had a line as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
Because Pete had been like he'd been the stand-in the
It
whole
was
way
like
through.
it was like a let's go do this shit or something kind
Yeah.
of end to the movie.
Yeah. The director, he did a cameo in the chopper as well. So I don't know if it's because Pete and him were in that scene. I just don't because they went to New Zealand as well after we did our thing. Yeah, Pete's funny, man. Like he's chasing Alan around now, but I think he's back into what's he doing? The arm wrestling competitions. He's back into that now. He's got back in. I don't know what else he's running on nowadays, but we're going to catch up with him when he's down next. He was supposed to have a thing down here in March, but he didn't get it or something, so he didn't turn up. But yeah, he was supposed to jump on with us, which would have been cool. But we'll no doubt catch up with him. So he'll be one of the boys that comes on. Sam Ride, the medieval man's getting involved. Chris May, the fiery dude, he's keen. He's lost 18 kilos since the start of the year.
Wow.
He did that run around the bay thing last year and smashed his knee up and stuff. And then I think he realised that a lot of that might have been due to the extra weight. And I'm certainly not going to sit here and throw stones. But yeah, like that was good. He's shredded now. But it's funny how much he looks like he's younger now. It makes so much difference to actually like get back in shape and stuff like that. So, which is why I look old, obviously. But yeah, like there's been that. Who else have we had? Clay, like I still talk to him. He's now the president at the Oatley RSL up north.
Okay.
He's doing that. Rod's now started the Peacekeepers. He's the CEO of that or the president or whatever it is, one of the boss names of that. But he's been travelling. He went crazy with his travelling on his book. Went a lot further.
How many books has he sold?
Oh, it's irrelevant. He's still
Did we have a promo code or what?
Oh God.
Where's the...
He was in, like, it was talking about the UK and he was appeared on all other podcasts. Like,
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Like, I don't know who his agent was, but they were doing well and above what Rod deserved out of that. He was, like, I mean, good on you. You wrote a book, but at the same time, like,
Good read though. Obviously, as I was ribbing you before, you haven't ever read any of our guest books, but I've read all of them.
I have
And
purchased
Rod's
them.
book is good.
Yeah.
I loved the humility of it. Stop screaming, I'm scared too. He's a great guy. And that was one of the highlights, I guess, for the whole imposter experience was that we did that whole Simpson Desert trip with Clay and with Rod. And we're both pretty broke at the time, so it was a bare bones trip. There was like a raffle on the last night. We were like, I think I bought the drill bits for like $13. It was like I couldn't even afford that. And but
Imagine doing it now.
oh yeah,
At $3 something a litre.
well I
Up
will
there it
be
would have
in
been.
3 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
least
Headed
it's-
back to Finktown in a couple of weeks' time. So
At least it's cheap now. It's only $2.60 a litre.
cheap relatively.
What would that translate, do you reckon, out there? Because it would have been $2.60 back when we did it.
Well, I sent one of our mates a photo because the most expensive place for fuel last year was William Creek on the Oodnadatta track, just a little Royal Flying Doctors town essentially. And in Melbourne, diesel had become more expensive than in William Creek. So that sort of shows you the contrast of all the logistics of moving fuel. But I imagine it'll take a fair while till the prices come down there again.
Yeah, that's crazy though that it was more expensive here. I mean, obviously they react a lot faster here. They're like, oh, there's some sort of conflict somewhere. Like you'll be able to eat gold through the roof, diesel $1 million.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
But yeah, I think that was the awe moments of being out in the Simpson Desert, those sunrises, sunsets, and just a great crew of people out there was pretty special. And I got to do it last year again with one of our other old teammates, and to go back there with the knowledge, like having been there with Clay the year before, I've done a lot of four-wheel driving, but to be as remote as the Simpson Desert, like on the third day, you can't really be further from humans in Australia, and it does freak people out. And I just thought it was so peaceful and relaxing, and so it was great to do that again. Learned a lot from Clay about the sort of the methods and the etiquette, and especially with sand dunes, the safety of calling your position all the time, which most other people weren't doing. So if I hadn't seen Clay exhibit that, I wouldn't have had the knowledge to sort of get through there unscathed the second time.
Well, it's funny. It's very aviation. So like with the aviation, you're like, yeah, we're travelling from here to here. Estimated time of arrival will be such and such time at this one, and then you announce like the airfield that you're at, or the whatever air traffic control you're on at the time. So it's like you're out there announcing yourself and putting it out there. It's just sort of radar, but with vocal. But yeah, like it translates really well to the desert.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is, if you've never been aviation, you're not used to that. Like Marksy's actually a pilot and a chopper pilot now.
Yeah.
Which is funny. It'd be interesting to see if he goes up to the Murray pub and flies out of there a couple of times.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Well, case in point, I was sort of making the same marker calls as I'd seen Clay do the year before, and other people were as well. And this French guy was on the radio, just sort of making nonsense. And someone said to him, he's like, mate, where have you come from? And his response was,
France?
Birdsville.
Oh.
And that was 3 days ago. So the only thing that he could tell us is that he was coming from Birdsville, which doesn't really happen when you're getting 40 or 50 kilometres service on the UHF antennas. So I think he got scolded by a few people as he came through.
Yeah. I mean, he's not wrong, but at the same time.
Well, yeah, relativity.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing, isn't it? The first thing you're like, if I can hear someone on the CB, he's within a certain range. That's always your first heads up. But the desert's crazy because we had a crew. You didn't really pay attention to how vast it was where you were, because you're just like, hey, it's all good and well. It wasn't until you sort of got to the top of a dune and then you went, it's just never ending. But we were also
like 1,100 sand dunes, 550 kilometres span, done at about 10 kilometres an hour. It takes a while. It was funny because it was just, in the van, it was working the whole time as well. There's no auto. Mitsubishi Delica that made the cover of Traverse magazine, a motorcycle magazine, no less.
We're pretty big deals on Traverse.
Lee loved it.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was funny there. But like it's just working. But then when you'd get Benji, you'd get the drone up and you'd look around, and that was when I reckon flying over there in a bush plane, you'd just be like, geez, this is.
I really wanted to do it this year. It's so expensive. Like we did go through Murray again. I really wanted to do the flight with Phil, but it's like $1,100 or something. It's the cheapest flight that you can do. So yeah, saw it all from the road again. But
yeah, crazy times. Yeah, it's been funny too. Like obviously we drove up to Newcastle, met Matty Morris. Matty's such a down to earth bloke. For for the amount of traction and airtime he gets, he is just the same dude.
And when I went back through the chronology, like we actually recorded with him. We released our first episode that week, but when he agreed to have us interview him, we had nothing out there. So, and I know this from so many people now, the Hot Debrief podcast and a couple of others. He just will give his time to people, any veteran first responder that want to do something. He's been immensely generous to people, and it's just a privilege to be able to, try to interview him because we've listened to so many hours of him with all the greats as well. So
it was funny because we obviously we drove up there. He's like, "What do you mean you guys drove up here?"
Yeah,
he's like, "Is that like 11 hours?" I'm like, "Yeah," and then he was just like, "Whatever you need, boys. However much time you need." And we're like, "This is amazing." And then funny going because he came to breakfast with us the next day. Didn't need to, but he came out with us then and
got recognised by the local cops in the cafe. That was so funny. We felt like big deals because we're like, oh, they recognised him.
Yeah, that's right. We're here with Matty.
We just interviewed him. No big deal.
Yeah, well, it's funny now because it's like him and Sam Bamford are doing stuff now, and but there's other stuff like Punters Politics and these guys. It's funny now that and Russell Brand sort of probably did a lot for it as well, where you just start talking about stuff. And it's like, why are those people any less qualified than journalists? And it's funny now that there is a counter culture of like, well, you know what? You're actually not in, like you haven't done any, you've come from one spot, you've come from uni. and now you've got an agenda and you're doing whatever. And it's really interesting now to see people put themselves out there. And I think now that there's actually multiple people having to put their voice out there, like you've got, Chucky, Bamford, Matty Morris, Scojo.
Love Scojo. Yeah. Love to meet him somewhere one day. But
he's funny though, because isn't he Intel or something?
Well, I listened to him on Sam Bamford the other day.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting interview. I think it's got 1 million views on YouTube for an Australian podcast, which is brilliant. But he was some sort of like air defence guiding intel.
But he was always doing briefings and stuff with people that came in, so he must be some sort of
he's obviously he says himself he signed some sort of non-disclosures, so he's happy to stand up for other people, but obviously can't say too much about the issues that he had with defence. But I mean, to see, especially like the Zero Limits debrief, Matty runs, with all those guys you just mentioned on it, there's probably not a better place to get, you could say, the counterpoint of all of the topical sort of military news at the moment, but from people that were there and experienced it. And, podcasting's always been valuable because of the long form. You're not just hearing a 3-minute clip where they're on a news station. You've got hours potentially to dive into it all. So I think they're doing very well as a network.
I think a lot of that comes from being in the police, where you go to a job and then you watch it on the news and you're like, that's not even remotely what happened. Yeah. Which is obviously a thing VicPol could do better. They could be a bit more transparent about it and stuff, but it just seems to be a bit weird that the boys just get hung out to dry over and over again for 3 years, and then it goes to court. They're like, oh, he's been cleared actually because he didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. And that sort of doesn't sit well with me, and I know it doesn't sit well with a lot of the other lads. But it's great now that Matty's got. I mean, he's got a bunch of army guys. I don't know if he's got any police to counter it. Oh, he does have.
Yeah, he has Raptor 13 and a couple of New South Wales guys. But I think it'd be great to see a few more ex-VicPol chiming in on some of that.
It's been funny watching Raptor call out just like bosses. As soon as he got out, he's like, hey, this boss, terrible. Like, see how he treated his boys there? Terrible. Called him out. And then he's called out other ones, and they've rung him, and he's gone out and goes, you know what? Hats off to him. He called me out. We went and had a chat, and it's like, I apologise. That's all you can ask for, really, from your people. So the even in just the 2 years that I'd say we've been doing it, but we haven't really been doing it for 2 years.
Well, we didn't do it for the last 6 months. Most of the good stuff was condensed into, and you mentioned Jarryd before, who I know you've become really good friends with, which is great. And his podcast I re-listened to the other day, and there's so many gems in there that are not, what you would have gone into it thinking would come from it. And probably one of my highlights of the whole series was his comment to create more than you consume, as a metric of like how many hours a day am I spending scrolling and all that sort of stuff. It's like, well, I guess that applies whether you're Rod writing a book or you and Jarryd making some funny reels. That was a really good way to measure, I think, whether you're just consuming or if you're actually, doing something, putting something back into the world.
It's funny. When we had him on, he was on, I think, about 9,000 followers. Mm-hmm. He's now pushing 47,000, I think. But it was funny too, because he went from that to, from where he started, where it was just taking the piss and doing jokes, and there's like 15 people in a room and whatever. To now he's done stuff for ADFA. I was up at the Veteran Games, and he and I sat down and we were having a chat with the SEAC, which is like the senior enlisted advisor to the Chief of Defence Force. Yeah, right. It's bizarre. He's a great bloke, that dude. Like he's out and about. And it's funny because he's obviously enlisted, so he's more in tune with our things, and he knows that like humour and the way diggers operate and stuff like that. But and we were trying to get the chief in one of the reels, and it's like, and he's not against it, which is great value. Yeah. But it's just how you can
make them a real person for once.
Yeah, but it's just how do you do it without just taking the piss out of the position? Like, he is the chief. Yeah. We were trying to go through different options, and we were like, because there's one where Dan Gorringe, who's now a massive deal in AFL podcasting and stuff like that, he went up to the chief of AFL and like he went to walk in there, it's like, no, get him out. You know, and I was just like, you could do something so simple.
Yeah.
Jarryd doesn't even need to be in there. He could just be waiting out the front like you used to when you're in trouble, like on the shit line. And you'd be like, defaulter, and you go to walk in. And you'd be like, oh, g'day, Chief, so I've got it. He's like, no, like that'd be it. Just kick him out. Like it'd just be funny. Like there's no actual interaction. There's whatever. But I'm just wondering with the handover from like there's going to be a new chief and stuff like that. Maybe the outgoing chief might appear and say good day.
Yeah, well, you always get, it's like when you hear, say, an ex-prime minister be interviewed, you think, why didn't they talk like that when they are the PM? But it's because all the pressure's off and all the polling and that sort of thing. So, yeah, maybe when he's done, especially because he's no longer a career man and he's not from Australia, maybe he'd do it. But,
but it's just funny that we've gone from, like, the people that we've spoken to, like it's gone from, like, the kitchen table we're just sitting around having a yarn with the boys and just seeing where some of the lads are now. It's, you know, like the guys have done quite well, which is sort of, I guess, why we're moving from the Imposters podcast, because a lot of the dudes that we've had aren't imposters anymore. They're like they're actually doing stuff, and I don't know. I was talking to Jarryd the other day, and I was like, Matty Morris is basically Triple J unearthed.
Yeah,
he's like, you go on Matty Morris, and then you now
have options.
Yeah, but it's almost like it's your business card now. You're like, oh, I was on, you know, I was episode 171.
You should go on Zero
or whatever. You know, but it's just funny that Matty is literally a launching pad for so many people's careers. It's just it's like it's an affiliation now when you go on there, and he's got so many people, and that's why the hot debrief works as well, because he's got such an access to different people. It's like, hey, this is coming up.
Seeing him and someone like Chocky collab, I thought was really brilliant because they're from very different backgrounds, but to see sort of the morals and values politically aligning, it's just an interesting world where that sort of stuff wouldn't have happened in any other way. So.
But you got Carl Stefanovic as well now.
That's been interesting.
Yeah, hasn't he gone? Because I think he must have been getting bulk grief on, Channel 10 or wherever it was he was.
He's made a few errors along the way on Carl, hasn't he?
That's why a lot of people have time for him.
Yeah,
because who hasn't? I mean, that's the main reason people don't get into politics, because everyone's just like, oh, I've made too many mistakes. I don't want everyone to know about it. Yeah. You're like, well, that's why you get what you get, because the journos are just out to get people. And like they don't really care about what happens. They just want to make a story. They don't care what happens. They just want to. And like if somebody gets fired, they stay in. They don't really care about that stuff. And it comes at the expense of we're not getting leaders that have made mistakes become better. And if you used to be a drunk, now you're sober as a judge. Like those people are great for teaching people how to not drink anymore. But if you get someone who's like never sped, never done anything like that, and then you get them to advise you on, social housing and whatever else it is whilst they were rich, but no one's going to listen to that.
Well, it's the whole life experience piece. It's like how some of the best police members, were probably dishonest about some of the recreational drugs they'd done in their early 20s or, military. But it's like you have to have life experience, and obviously you can't be still dabbling in any of that. But it's like, if everybody's just done nothing in life, how could you possibly be good at those jobs?
Well, I reckon the best cops would have been the best crooks and vice versa.
Yeah.
Like the ones that get away with all the stuff, like they would have been amazing detectives because they know how to get around it. So they would have known how to detect it in the first place. Yeah. So there's that whole chestnut as well. But just
before we move on from sort of the comedy piece with Jarryd as well, I think you and I have both been really interested in like what it is about comedy, but how it can just speak truth. It's probably the only thing that can say the truth out loud without, people being offended now. And it's just, it was really interesting diving into it with Jarryd and just seeing how it kind of cuts through, or even you can do a reel, which would be offensive if it was just a dialogue or something. It goes back to the court jester stuff, doesn't it? Where that was the only person that could actually criticise the king via comedy, and a good king would have a court jester for that very reason, to keep them in check. So it seems that in these political times that it's pretty important. Maybe every polly should have to get up and do stand-up night once a month or something.
Well, I've been watching Question Time. Half of them do.
True, yeah.
Jarryd was funny with that too. Like he's been talking when he does stuff. Like we do these reels about, I don't know if I'm going to do that one. And he'd be like, I'll take that. And then you look at it and you're just going, whoa, Jarryd, what about if you get cancelled on that one? He's like, cancelling's the best thing that can happen to me.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, Matt Rife kind of proved that.
Yeah.
As well as others.
I think the problem is
Doubling down.
Yeah, I think the problem is you've got to be prepared to get bulk hate. And then if you accept that and you move on and you troll those people, then you now come out the other side and then, was that, you got there
It's a little trial of a new energy drink.
not running the savvy?
Mad Dog energy drinks. Maybe watch this space.
We'll see how we go.
Who's a Mad Dog?
You know what? Imposter 17% off still works.
Does it?
Yeah. If you jump on there, Imposter.
Did we ever make any money out of all the loyal
You
people?
didn't.
Yeah, well, I know.
I bought those DJI mics out of it.
Oh,
We had enough money to make the mics, which
please
is
and thank you.
which is what led to all the reels having decent audio for a change. So welcome.
Oh, that's quite nice, that Mad
Is
Dog.
it?
Not normally one for energy drinks, but
It's actually a Celsius, just in case they want to sponsor us. We always call it out there. And then we've got Sam Ride as well. Like he's a big deal now. Oh, he was a pretty big
I
deal.
never got to meet Sam. That was when I'd gone AWOL on you.
Yeah. Well, he was a pretty big deal anyway when we first got him. I mean, in the
we tried to get a few people to drag us up with
in the
offer them nothing of value.
yeah. I mean, in the LARPing world,
Remind me what LARPing is again?
live action role play. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll lose his shit over that. It's actually Boo Hurt, which is like actual fighting.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was funny because we put a helmet on and then he whacked it. It's just like putting your head in a bell. Surprisingly good at absorbing impact, but geez, it's loud. And your vision's terrible. And the helmet's like 5 kilo, which is quite a bit.
So it's basically people going out and fighting in all the old knights' armor.
Yeah, but just
they are hitting each other.
Yeah, they've just got blunt swords and axes and stuff. But like if you slip through, because I've seen some of the injuries that people are getting where they might be reaching to attack someone else and they get you under the arm where you might be not like that. Well, it's just running like material basically to stop you from getting penetrating stab injuries. But some dudes have just been nailed whilst they're moving in a bad spot. And then Sam broke some dude's arm with an axe another time because he just hit he's moved his arm into the way and just hit him right in the middle, snapped it. Just old mate had 2 elbows. It's pretty gross. But he went over to Europe, travelled there, and then he just went to some other world competition over in New York or something, New Jersey. Ended up one of those two. He was up there, and now he's running like some dual. I can't remember what he calls it, but it's basically 2v2. It's a new competition he's got there, but he's still
Jousting.
No, that's Cryle Castle. We are going to go to that day. We need to check that out.
That's where you go for rave parties, isn't it?
They would have one. Surely that happened there. There's it's just crazy seeing the lads go from there. But he started a new channel as well, like a tactical one where he goes out and does hunting and which is weird because Australia I didn't think would have like YouTube hates guns anyway. And he's out there doing hunting stuff. I mean, most of it's like 90% of him swearing about him falling over up and down hills and Lantana tearing them apart and all that sort of stuff. But
we got shared by a hunting channel, didn't we?
You did.
Reposted.
Yeah, you were a big deal. Cam Haynes.
I almost quit on the spot then.
Well, we didn't. To be honest, we haven't done better than that.
Cameron Haynes with 2 million Instagram followers.
Yeah.
There was a video of me early on failing to draw back your 80-pound bow.
But you're actually doing archery now, aren't you?
Well, I'm just going to get into it.
Yeah. Oh, so you've just got to
let my firearms license lapse in the persecution state of Victoria. I've decided not to.
Did you put it back in the gun
Go
bins
cap in
next
hand.
to the machete bins next to the?
No, I never owned any actually, which was handy. But
there'll be a bow and arrow bin soon enough.
Probably, yeah. But just focus a bit on the craft of archery will be a bit of fun. So yeah.
And then Joe Piasecki is probably the last one that we were talking about. He's been doing bulk marathons now. So like we talked to him about. I think he's going to do like a couple of different runs, and then he did a leg for us at the Surf Coast Century, which is good. And
did you do a leg?
Of course not. Well, I did the whole thing. I did the whole thing.
You were the support person.
Yeah, I had the van, and I was at every checkpoint.
Okay,
didn't see the other boys at every checkpoint.
It's a very big liberty taken on way there.
Yeah, well, it was my team, so I'll take that. And I picked him up and took water
if
to
you
him.
fill out the entry form, you get to claim the finish.
Yeah, I did go and pick up the the bibs for the boys. So I feel like that's my work done. And yeah, so he's just been doing a lot more endurance events and stuff as well. So, and now he's got his own business, finished his degree. So, yeah, we're looking at doing some pods actually as well. Like, so we're looking at splitting the pod between, because the problem we were having was we would talk mad shit for the first 12 minutes and people would have no idea what we were talking about. Yeah. And then the next week you'd go and we'd be like straight into a serious conversation about some dude who'd lost his brother. And people were like, what are we getting?
We put on our disclaimer. That fixed everything.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we disclaimed it. But it was like, if you're sitting there on an algorithm, how would you pick it? You know, like one week it's talking about some people who own a pub in the middle of the desert and talking about pilot's licenses and stuff. And then the next week it's somebody's, you know, got blown up in Afghanistan and then you do whatever. So the problem was some people loved both of them. Some people were mad for the banter. They just loved the lols and the lack of any sort of direction. They thought that was hilarious. And then other people were just like, mate, I'm literally 8 minutes in. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't care anymore. So I think we're going to sort of split that into, one's going to be more like a footy show style thing where we sort of had segments and we do whatever. It might not be so much about guests. It might be more about, you know, there's a bunch of different faceless Instagram pages now, so we might be able to talk to them with some sneaky voices and stuff, or we might have meme of the week, we might have whatever, like I don't know. We might make it more of a footy show talking rubbish sort of style, and then the other one might be a little bit more like grown up and stuff. Like I've spoken to Humwa and some of the other places, and they're going to take us for you know, we'll go around and have a look at where they build the tanks and see what they're doing there, because they employ heaps of veterans. Navantia builds boats, and they support veterans really well. And like the Bushmaster people up there, it'd be good to take Chris back up and have a look at the Bushmasters, etc. I know he's been there before, but I think the first time was him just saying thanks heaps. But this time we could go there and actually learn and see what they're doing for their people. And there'll be heaps of other places as well, like Babcock and all these other places actually look after people. So it's a little bit more, that one would be a little bit more about like transitioning. So whether you're a teacher and you've just been you've been a teacher for 10 years and you want to go do something else, or just probably a little bit more interviews with people and a bit more grown-up-y sort of style, where we won't, basically stuff that you can actually be on and not get fired, as opposed to every guest that we seem to have where they're like, don't know that I can do that. Whereas the other one will just be, you know, we'll shoot each other with paintballs and stuff on the Mad Dogs one. So like it's just going to be a separate there with grown-ups versus taking the piss style. So I mean, obviously people are welcome to listen to either of them, but and also like I've got cameras and stuff now, so ideally we'll be able to chuck it on YouTube and then see if the algorithm helps us out.
YouTube's where it really can happen. But for the listener, for the one that remained following us, are you going to modify all the socials and stuff, or are you starting over with both of them? How are they going to be able to find you in those different versions?
Well, so at the moment, the Imposters one that we've got at the moment, like we haven't posted anything for us in God knows how long. And they're mainly just collabs with Jarryd just taking the piss with reels. So that one will probably turn into the Mad Dog one, because half the boys that are on there are going to be hosting it. Like
Mad Dogs.
Like Sam and Chris and whoever else is on there. Like they're already on that page. They're in half the reels. So it's like that one will probably just change to that. We'll retire the Imposters part, and then I don't know. We'll see what we do with the new one. Like I don't know if it's got a name or not. Like that one's already changed about 5 different times on where we'd go with it. Just based off, we initially had 2 other people that were keen. The one dude's like, I can't really commit to that. And then this other guy's turned up and he's like, yeah, one of my mates is actually super keen, and we've been talking heaps about it. I said, you know what? You guys should run your own show instead of me just tagging along with yours now. Like it's just silly. But we'll see how that goes. And I think they're sort of running a little bit of imposter syndrome where they haven't, they've, like Joe's made a cameo, but his other mate's never been on. But, people have sort of realised now in the business world that you need to grow a actual persona online or you just get left behind. It's really weird. Like I remember there was a couple of other guys I dealt with who were on like LinkedIn, and they were absolute wrecks in their own life. But on LinkedIn, they looked amazing, and they were getting speaking gigs, and people were like looking for jobs and stuff because they were doing whatever. But the problem is, if you're actually not, if you're not living your best life the whole time, then you can't actually hold a job down and stuff. But Like people are watching. So if you're actually happy to put yourself out there, you'll find it. I mean, and that's from that thing we learned pretty much week one with the, I can't even, we never knew what it stood for. The woo thing.
Oh, yeah.
Something about influencing others. Which made no sense.
That was your quality. You're a woo-woo personality.
Yeah, whatever that was.
But it correlated with us finding as well, the people who didn't feel they were imposters were just useless people who hadn't even occurred to them they were no good at what they were doing and somehow were still getting a gig somewhere. And
well, what's that? I can't remember what it's called now. That curve where they're basically like, there's that thing where at the start you think you know everything, so you're like really high performing. So you're like, yeah, I'm all about it, and then you realise what you don't know. That's the one, Dunning-Kruger. Yeah. And then you go down into the valley of despair or whatever it is, and then you actually get up at the end where you've actually got the intelligence, but you don't believe you do anymore. So it's a weird sort of system.
For me, I remember talking to someone who was a self-described leadership coach and being totally curious. I was like, oh, what sort of teams have you led? And she said, oh, no, I just teach leadership. I was like, yeah, but where does all your experience come from? I think you and someone else were like chuckling beside me because it hadn't dropped for me yet.
Yeah.
Like, no, this person's never led any team, but they've made this software package and they apparently can show other people how to lead teams effectively. And
yeah.
Well, I think she was the last one in the room to realise that it was an empty course. But
well, I think that's the thing is a lot of people from first responders and military are like, if you don't have lived experience, they don't listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
You could have done 4 degrees. You might actually be the most qualified person in leadership, but if you've not done it, it's the same as when you go to a gym. There's a jacked up dude and then there's like some super skinny dude. And you're like, if I'm trying to get massive, I'm going to talk to the massive dude. Even though skinny guy might be able to be all over it with like nutrition and whatever else it is, just by default you'd be like, well.
It's a business card.
Yeah.
And I would have been just as interested if she'd led tech teams or anything, but I just thought it was, I was expecting there to be some substance behind the resume.
Just anything. Like, did you drive yourself here? Like, did you
coach a netball team?
Yeah. Did you drive your car here? Were you a captain of your under 12s rounders team? Like, just at some point were you leading something? Did do the only research that I've ever done. And when I say
you did the research,
yeah, when I say I've done it,
you're part cyborg now with the amount of AI that you use for life.
Well, it's the only intelligence I have. It's artificial. But so I put in all the transcriptions for all our different episodes, and it was put through, and there was like we just had the best of quotes. So they might be terrible because I haven't even looked at them yet. But yeah, we've just renamed it on the fly. Episode 1, the Shambles podcast. It was actually Fedora that said that.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
And then you reiterated it.
Well, I might have just called it a Shambles, and then he just said we've just renamed it. So that wasn't bad. But then you've got Jess Taylor, and when she's like, she said that she felt that. I'm like, I didn't realize you felt like that when you, like, as a single mum.
Oh, that was very funny.
Whilst Fedora sitting there going,
her husband.
Yeah.
She's never been a single mum.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, that was really awkward.
You followed it up. You said, oh, fingers crossed.
Yeah. There's still time.
Yeah.
He's still punching above his weight. Yeah, he was good. He was good value. But funnily enough,
when Fedora came on, they were always good lols. And
it was funny. I feel like you both got performance punished almost. Like I know Fedora started hearing people listen to the podcasts, and he sort of went, "Oh, this is getting bigger than I thought it was going to be," and started trying to hide in the background. And then you got a bit funny when the reels came up, when you made all those
when I did the Huberman ones, that was the death of me. Yeah, because I ended up filming them on my own, and when they went up, there was just this realization, like, oh no.
But like, did you get any negative feedback, or was that just all you?
Nah, because I intentionally never had access to any of the comments on things. So,
yeah,
and you always vetted that without telling me. So. Yeah, there's this philosophy I've heard more recently where, a bit like Murphy's Law, but it's like the most ironic outcome is the most likely outcome.
Yeah.
It kind of goes to like when you name something like the Imposter Podcast, it almost cursed at least one of us to feel like more of an imposter.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there was a lot of irony in it. We were speaking to people that had blasted through it. And I mean, Maddie's message, which hopefully will still be the outro that we'll play at the end of this, just do it. What's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
It's as great advice as you're ever going to hear, but it's sunk in on different levels at different times. And while things can be easy to hear, they're not always easy to do. But it still will stand a timeless example.
You know, I'm just reading through the quotes. I'm like, you know what I haven't done?
Oh,
No, no, another one.
what you haven't
hell,
done
here
is
we go.
use the mixing desk for a
That
while.
one. That's what I wanted to get. No, I didn't. That's the one. That's the one I wanted. I thought it was that's the pink one, yeah.
We're back to
like,
the Shambles final episode.
Yeah, that's literally what I was reading about it. What did it say? It's got the mixing. This mixing table is just going to keep on giving. It's like still just as true as Fedora presses yet another unknown button.
The other, well, just while we're on it too, like Matt Morris's messages were so good throughout, but I really listened to his episode a week ago too, and because we just kept pressing him on things because we hadn't realised them yet. But, you know, he started business after business and he just kept saying to us, he's like, I didn't know how to send an invoice. I just got on YouTube and had a look at, oh, okay, what do you do with Xero? Oh, okay, I can follow that. Oh, how do I do a tax return? Oh, I owe the ATO. It's like, so he just laid out the fact that you've got skills and you've never run a business, but we're in a day where you can get a tutorial on anything at all. And he's stepped through to having very successful businesses and multiple of them.
He's just released a new pre-workout, Roadside Bomb. Get around
Roadside Bomb.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, it's terrible.
Wow.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
By all accounts, it's actually pretty good. I haven't had any yet, but I'll have to get on board it.
Wonder how he was telling us he launched cosmetics for his
Yeah, I
daughter
know.
and stuff as well. It's
I asked him about that.
Just do
but
anything.
He wouldn't give me anything else on that
Okay,
because I asked him about it, but he just kept that on the download. So I wonder if you went to Maya, there's probably a line there that he runs, but he's just keeping it on the download.
Probably the second biggest brand in Australia already.
Yeah. He actually bought Chanel. Just back on the Jess thing, she's actually now our fourth most downloaded thing, which is bizarre to have Maddie as 1 and 2, then McConnell as the negotiator 3, and then the birthing story.
Is it just because of how awkward and uncomfortable I was? Or
To be honest, I think it's because some of the real, the Harry Potter one, for example, which blew up and has 2 million views, which is bizarre, and mainly.
Hey, what do you mean? We have a Harry Potter clip?
Yeah, we did. No, we did one with Jarryd. We did a Harry Potter sorting hat.
Yeah.
And it's I'll show you afterwards. I know you don't do socials.
I don't
anymore.
have socials. So
You've literally got the famous hat.
Context.
That famous hat's next to you. But yeah, we did it got 2 million views, and then that was actually the only reel that we've done that's been over 50%.
It was an imposter rule.
It was. It's a collab. It's a collab one.
Okay.
So it's got 2 million views, and over 50% of it was females. With all the other ones dudes watching the reels, but this one had 50%. And I think what happens is they jump on board, and then they see the ones on there, have a look, and then they see the birth and banter one, and they're like, oh yeah, cool, we'll do that. Because there's that one, and then SJ's erotic novels one also gets a lift. So you can sort of see after the reels, if we did a cop one, for example, the negotiator and Caruana's cert one would go up. So it's interesting seeing, even though the reels got nothing to do with our podcast at all, but because people turn up and they're like, these are great, these are funny, we like these guys, we'll see what they're doing. We still get 200 downloads a week, which is bizarre considering we haven't done anything for
it's
for a
quite
year.
Spooky. You and Jarryd talked as well about how, especially with some of his bigger posts, the comment section would just, get hundreds of thousands of comments, and he's like, I know no one's watched the video, so just go straight to the comments.
Yeah.
But then they're going to get spammed with my videos next time. So,
yeah. Well, we did. Jarryd did. He did a thing for Anzac Day, where he didn't even put a photo up. He just had writing, and he was like, "Put your best war dog photo up." And it's funny in a time where people have been so anti-police and army and all that sort of stuff. And he got, when I last check I did, it had 1,300 comments. So everybody was just putting a photo up there. Everyone's laughing. Jarrod's rating him. We had to stop rating him because there were so many of them. But it was, it was just, it's really great to see the community that he's sort of building now. People go to his shows almost because they know it's going to be full of first responders and whatever. He's very inbuilt now into that niche. So it's sort of, he might have even performance punished himself to be stuck in that niche, but they're very loyal.
His shows are so fun though because of that. Like I went to the second one with you basically a year ago. And the way that he works the crowd, because it's such a nuanced sort of military comedy, it's very fun to see.
Matt, he has them now where he'll go somewhere and they'll put their phones away. And it's like that's like the safety of you knowing it's not being recorded.
Yeah.
Like we did a reserve unit one in Geelong here, and he went there and it was so funny. It wasn't even like realistically it wasn't even his show. Yeah. Like people just sent him a bunch of like messages about other dudes from the from the unit and just gave him shit. And then he was just into this one bloke. He was down the front, had R.M. Williams boots on, had jeans, had a polo shirt tucked in, probably a Ralph Lauren polo shirt tucked in.
Was an officer then?
100%. And he called him early on, and old mate tried to pretend that he wasn't. And you're like, mate, nobody is buying that.
With the chaps.
Yeah. It's like, jolly good, cracking show, young man. But that was hilarious. But the thing was, it was he was just getting loose. But it was funny because you actually had the RSL. A lot of the RSL boys were there. So you had the old boys and then you had the young fellas from the reserve unit. They were all getting together. And that's sort of to the credit of the guys running the RSLs around here is they go to the reserve units on a Tuesday night and hold a barbecue. Yeah. And then Catafalque Party, the boys are always trying to get to the RSL here. And then the RSL put like beers over the bar for them afterwards. And it's a bit more old school the way it used to be, which is great for the old boys who now are like, well, you know, all the young fellas are coming here. We'll come in. We'll wear all their gear. And then the young fellas come up, they're like, bloody hell, what are all these old blokes, all these gongs about? And that's literally what it was supposed to be about. You know, like the weird awkwardness is still in some RSLs, but there are some cracking RSLs that are doing some really good work now, which has been, you know, and I mean, anytime they grab Jarryd, it pretty much brings everyone together anyway, because the older people and the younger people have the same effed up sense of humour.
Timeless comedy.
Yeah.
Do they stock camo or toilet paper yet though?
I don't know that he's even still involved with that. But I mean, when he said to the RSLs, what are you doing? Why aren't you doing that? And then there was heaps of them that did. A bunch of them took on camo roll, which is great value for them. It's funny that we talk about like the lulls that we were having on the like on the podcast, but then there's some stuff like when we spoke to Mark Thomas where he was like, I didn't want to be here at the cricket or I didn't want to be here on this earth. I couldn't tell the difference. And I was like, he also talked about being in his undies because he was crazy. It was but like for some of the boys on here to just come in here and be open. I mean, I know it's just at my house in the kitchen, so it's sort of it's easy to forget. But then when and I don't even know if Mark had people hit him up afterwards, but I'd definitely have people message me and just go, that was legit. That was a pretty that was nuts. And I don't know how many people were interested in doing the psychedelics and stuff after Michael came on, but
Michael Raymond is a very interesting person. I've spent a bit of time with. We live fairly close to each other, and the legwork he has put into some of the psychedelics policy in Australia and taking people overseas for those experiences is immense, and he's kept at it. So it'd be interesting to know if anybody's been on one of his programs, but I just don't have the fortitude to see it through. I'm terrified of it.
It's funny enough. One of the quotes is our disclaimer. It's like, as veterans and first responders, it's like,
I tried to be serious, and then you just punked me,
which was the best. It was so good. I love when we sent that because we did another like 8 of them afterwards, and then we sent them all to MT, and he's like, we were like, no, we're not doing that.
That was an example of when I didn't know your objective was to create a funny one, whereas I thought we were doing a serious disclaimer, but from the get-go you wanted it to be mocking our own disclaimer.
Well, that was my plan. Yeah. I think we had a bit of that along the way where you were doing all the professional stuff and then things got awkward.
The other thing that came out with a few guests, a lot of people had never been on a podcast before. And something I know I struggle with was when you put the headphones on and you see the record hit, there's something different about it. And probably like every podcast that exists, some of the best conversations happened away from the recording because people relaxed in their intermission and just had a chat. And so I don't know how other podcasts deal with that, but it was hard to not feel like you're putting people in this under this sort of spotlight. We did talk about getting rid of the headphones after sound checks and things like that, but yeah, there's definitely a realism or a starkness if you're being interviewed about yourself once the headphones go on and you can hear, the feedback of yourself talking.
Well, yeah, and then you had people that would never put their mouth near the microphone or they'd turn away and talk about like they needed the headphones.
Yeah, that was hard too. Yeah.
And then you had people that we had to give them like pillows because they kept bashing the table.
Right, yeah.
Who was that? McConnell, Ned?
Yeah.
I think there was a couple of them that love smashing the table.
Although by virtue of that as well, McConnell was a great example. A few of our former teammates, we learned things about him we had no idea after knowing him for a decade or more. That interviewing style just brought conversations out that we'd never had around the team room and stuff like that. So,
which is funny considering we would have spent like 8 hours in a car at times with these people. Yeah. Just never just sat down and asked them about their history. Which is funny because, you actually do get trained to do interviews and then you just never interview each other in the car and you just don't know anything about each other. Like I don't know if we just don't pass that on to each other because we don't want people to judge us in our own time and then not see us as, mad war dogs or whatever it is. But like, oh, you love actually doing flowers or whatever, you do, what do they call it? Slam poetry.
Oh, yeah. But I think, we're both well out of the police now, but I used to joke to people.
Were you a cop?
Oh, were you a soldier?
No, I just meant we actually never were allowed to talk about it.
Oh, did we officially unacknowledge it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Remember we were like, we'd never...
We're civvies now.
We sound so nervous all of a sudden. Yeah. No, because we obviously...
Well, how dare we speak about something, that is part of our life? It's not like we made it our identity or anything.
Yeah. With that though, it was funny because we had other people obviously that we were like, hey man, should you come on because this happened, pretty mad story. And then people were like, oh yeah, I rang the media unit, and then they said no, you're not allowed to go anywhere near that. And you're just like, well, and then I remember Fedora started saying the whole fuck around find out thing. Not that he ever
never found out
or fucked around that much really. Like he fucked around off the microphone, like he was like, yeah, I'm hard as, put the microphone on him. Nope. I don't have a real name and I'm never going to comment about anything.
I remember another one of our teammates, Brad Williams, was on Zero Limits, but he was a firefighter by that time. And I asked another friend who was high up in the firefighters, I said, how would he have got approval to do that? And his response was like, approval for what? I was like, to speak and to be in the fire service and stuff. And he's like, why would he need approval for that? And it's like, he didn't even know what I was asking that question, whereas as police, we would never have been approved to do that, unless you go on the lame official podcast, which we have better ratings than.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's where we got our 1 star from.
Yeah.
Are we gonna call out the 1 star, or are we gonna let him go this time?
Yeah,
it's not confirmed.
Yeah, things come around in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think where I was getting at was, I used to joke, or meeting new people and neighbours and things like that, as I've just moved house. But I think why we probably didn't talk in the van as much, I used to joke it's like I've used up all my words for today, because you're just having these long, deep conversations with people having the worst day of their life, and the last thing you really want to do is just continue talking, or you do just the token talking about some of your hobbies and stuff. But I think we probably just avoided, by virtue, having a lot of those deeper conversations. And sometimes you wouldn't know one of your teammates' wives' names or kids' names. You sort of know all about them and what they're doing, but just didn't have the bandwidth to always be digging in that downtime.
Well, sometimes the first time you'd know about it was like you'd go to a thing where like a kid had drowned in a pool, and then you'd be like, mate, you're right. What? What's going on? And you're like, it's the same age as my kid. I'm like, oh, what?
Yeah.
First I knew about it. Because we'd go there, we'd be training, or you'd go there, there'd be a job straight on, or you'd go and you'd be counting something, or you'd be doing some other random admin. You did a lot more in the negotiators. There was a lot more sitting around talking because there was a lot less of the other.
Were you a negotiator?
Yeah, I was a big time negotiator.
Did they teach you how to actively listen?
Not often. That's why I've got AI. Summarizes it for me, gives it to me easy now.
You had a pass on that session.
Yeah. There was definitely no student merit on the listing part.
Yeah, I think too, we've got so many colleagues, probably the best people we've worked with, just being chucked out of all the services at the moment, which is very hard not to get angry at. But yeah, I was in the midst of that during the peak imposter as well, and it was very hard to exist being wrangled up in the sort of work cover system and all that at the time. So we were just talking about it before, but being free of all that now was very liberating to just sort of have your own life back in control. But I say that mostly because it staggers me how many of our friends are still wrapped up in that in the moment, and it takes quite a while to work free of. So,
well, even just when I went and met up with you guys out at the pub not long ago, like the difference with all of you boys that I caught up with was so different from when it was a couple of years ago, and everyone's got, and none of you had the same story. Like you're all going through different stuff, and none of it was actually from doing anything wrong yourselves. Like that's the crazy part about it.
That's the most hard part to swallow is like, yeah, when I look at some of the people going through it, the most competent, conscientious, caring, the best leaders, and somehow we can't put our finger on it, but it's not by coincidence. There's some sort of, malevolent intent or something behind it all. So whether we'll ever understand that or whether this is just every generation in service history, hits this point where all their friends are going through that, I don't know. But it's crazy to be in that generation now.
Well, it's very Batman. Like you live long enough to be the villain, and I think policing is probably something that we need to sort of look at with how long you're in the job for. Because anyone who's done 10 years is very jaded.
Oh,
like
yes.
Like they're, some of them that jump on the van and then disappear and go straight up to the top. Like in 10 years you can be an inspector if you play all the games. But if you're on the street for 10 years, like at no point do you look at people the same. Like every person's lying to you. You're always watching your exits. You're like, what's that guy doing? That's threat indicators here, and I've got to sit in a certain place in the cafe here. But not just that, I can't go to the gym without, every 3 weeks there's some dude in there because we used to deal with bikies and stuff, and bikies love going to gyms. And but you see him in there, and like I've been in there working out with boys before, and then you see this other bloke, you're like, I arrested that dude.
Yeah.
How long ago? And you're like, like 7 years. He must be out. This dude's just done 7 years jail time and you get out. And, is he sitting there remembering, I remember that dude. He just took 7 years of my life. Or do you think he's sitting there going, well, I did import a whole bunch of Uzis. Maybe that's okay.
Not sure that epiphany occurs.
Yeah. He's like, you know what, mate, thanks. I was an arms dealer. You're right. That was probably not the best.
And I've moved way out into the countryside for that reason too. And I actually can relax at home and sleep well now because,
how's your
not many people around.
How's your stand to and stand down routine?
No, I'm pretty good with that. Yeah. When I was in the suburbs, it was like, when I was sort of stuck at home a couple of years ago, it's like every car that went past, I'd have to go and check, who it was or, what the postman was up to. And yeah.
But were you looking for like our people or other people?
I don't think it wasn't that. It was just like, it was always described to me as having a feel in control. So I just had to know who was around and what they were up to. It wouldn't have even mattered what they were doing, but just to sort of be observing and everything. So the good message too is that it took some time after separating from the police and all of the, I'll say, corrupted departments that are supposed to help. But it has got a lot better, and normal civilian life has returned, which is very refreshing. And doing some work in, the normal professional services now, it's just been brilliant to work with some normal people and that just don't have these whole identity fusions that we had. They're interested in what we did, but they don't care about things the same way that we did like that. So to be around clients now and not offenders is a real breath of fresh air.
We always used to call them clients anyway.
Well, yeah.
It was the...
Well,
I don't know when that started.
They were able to give feedback. They were a customer.
But yeah, it was just funny that I don't know when it changed that we started calling on clients instead of crooks. Like
satire.
Well, I just wonder if it was a joke or whether it actually was something that it sort of got brought in from the top maybe and it became a thing.
Well, once you're serving them toast and jam and coffee from your own paid social club, I guess they are a client.
Yeah, that is pretty true.
Shout out to those on the divisional van today.
So, I've obviously got a thing here that we've done nothing with, that I've done the research about it. It's actually interesting. I'll read this afterwards. But a couple of different things it was asking about was what's going on with your YouTube channel? Is that still happening? Did you put any more into it? Are you going to be putting any more into it? Because you did the Think.
Yeah. So, the Hard Enduro dirt bike channel, which was, launched a similar time to Imposter. That became a real Imposter thing for the two of us as well. It had a fair bit of success, but it was that case of when you make something you love your job, we just weren't loving riding anymore, and you'd be constantly trying to we were buying things all the time just so that we could make a video about some handguards or something like that. But even the riding just became so orchestrated because filming, unless you have a film crew, if you four-wheel drive 24/7 or something, it's so arduous to be setting things up all the time and make it, look natural. So, it kind of took the joy out of it. That basically ended. I had intended to film the Fink Desert Race, which I did last year. I filmed some of the training and stuff like that. But that trip is just a brilliant couple of weeks away with good friends and family. And I was like, I just don't want any of the joy to get sucked out of this trip. So I ended up not doing that. In some ways, that was a shame because in a quite funny turn of events, I was the last official finisher for the Fink Desert Race for last year, which actually comes with some interesting sort of little experiences with the marshals and things like that. But it was a pretty good time to just be in the desert away from tech and not trying to film stuff like that. So, so we've left the channel just up, and as YouTube does, it's still chipping away, and apologies that comments still come in, and we've just decided not to monitor that anymore. We talked a lot about, you get one negative comment out of 1,000, and it's hard to just stay at it, replying to stuff all the time. But I've been out riding again in the last few months and just loving being out in the bush and the therapy that gives me, and heading back to Fink in about 3 weeks with the crew. I said never again. It was one of the most hellish things I've ever done. But I decided to do it again because so many people come up out of goodwill to be your pit crew and your supporters. And so I thought it was a bit weak to just go as a spectator and not, be another rider. So I'll be trying to be a finisher again. I'll try to come second last this time.
Did the riding that you were doing, because obviously we rode, like when we came back to the desert, that riding in there, did that make you a little bit more confident about the Fink? Because you did training after that, didn't you?
Yeah, so when we went to Simpson, it was the next year. I actually went back to Fink as a spectator and pit crew for these guys that year, and I kind of got the bug, and also really wanted to ride Simpson after being on Clay's tour. So, kind of just all came about because of that. I have never got to ride Simpson. I tried to do it last year, but only had one person that could do the trip with me, and it just wasn't really logistically doable. But the sand is quite different on a bike. Like it's just trying to kill you. The red centre sand is not too bad. And actually Simpson Desert, although I haven't ridden it, so I won't speak too much, but because it's very deep tyre tracks, to some degree, you're sort of just in a rail and you just go for it. But where we were training up in the big desert, it's just beach sand. And so you kind of the bike will just go where it wants to go for 20, 30, 40 metres, and then eventually it comes back to you. But it's a very unnerving feeling. And so, I didn't enjoy the riding, but I enjoyed the trips away, the training and the camaraderie of just being up in Alice Springs with like 50,000 people, the most affluent bogans you can ever imagine. And if you're running a trophy truck, you're like $1 million buy-in. Like, it's insane, some of the companies that are up there where you have to have a company to be running on 4 wheels, and then just a bunch of legendary backyarders in all the bike categories, because, you know, for 25 grand you can be on almost as good a dirt bike as you can get. So yeah.
The what's the appeal? Is it literally just the race? Because it's not like it's widely publicised and stuff like that. Like
there's almost no prize money. I think it's just one of those great trips people have just become loyal to. I think originally it was like a bit of a pub to pub type thing that started, and then it just developed once, you know, bikes became pretty good through the 70s, 80s, 90s. It turned into a real like rough desert race. And it's rough. Like each leg, so there's 2 days, took me 4.5 hours. In fact, the cutoff is 4.5, and I came in 4 hours, 29 minutes on day one. I knew how close I was, and I could not go any faster. But there's not a minute, there's not 10 meters in that whole distance where you can rest, because you just get thrown off. So of all the kind of crazy, stupid physical testings and things that we've done over the years, this was by far the most brutal physical thing I've ever done. And then you have to turn around the next day and go back. And I very nearly, part of me wished I was 4 hours and 31 minutes, so I would have been cut for day 2.
Yeah.
But like anything, once you've crossed the marathon finish line, it was a great feeling to go to that presentation and just have that night with all the people that come up to support us. So.
Do they have a list of how many finishes they've done? Like, there wouldn't be that many, surely.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Certainly there'd be a quarter of the field at least that don't get back for mechanical or time reasons each year, but I'm not sure. This year may well be the last one ever. They haven't said that officially, but as things go with permits and insurance and that, this is the 50th think this year. So all rumours are that they've tried to just keep breath in it to the 50th, and this will be it, where with the prices of diesel, it might be a bit of a fizzer this year anyway, but we'll see.
It is funny being in part of the bureaucracy now, seeing how it works, and just, we've got all these events, and they're like, oh, it's getting more and more expensive. We're not making that much money anymore, and this and that. And we're telling them off for it. And then you realise that the reason they're not making money is because of us. You know, like, because we've made it permits and we've made too many rules and the insurance is too heavy. And
traffic management plans.
Yeah, that's the biggest, massive cost.
Yeah.
And it's just bizarre that we've just put all this red tape up everywhere and then got confused that people can't do stuff anymore. And then we wonder why everyone's isolated and lonely when we don't hold events. Like it's funny that the people who are allegedly trying to fix these things and make them better are literally the ones causing the problems. Like people are like, well, it was working beforehand. And they're like, well, one person died. And you're like, that's probably because it's racing across a desert in stupid heat, doing whatever. Like, that going into it. And
the reason it's lasted so long is a credit to the Alice Springs Shire and Council, because they fully support it to the degree that they even can these days. But it's their biggest revenue turner of the year, so it's vitally important to them. And so I think they've made every accommodation they can, which most urban councils just don't have to do anymore, so they don't, I guess.
Well, I mean, the other problem with that is it's like the state and federal laws, and like every one of them puts on a different layer of tape. Then the insurance company is like, well, to make up for that, we're going to charge you more in insurance to do this and do that. And it's funny because that's a lot of the time why people travel. Like, you go to Turkey and New Zealand, and I mean, New Zealand now has probably got a lot of red tape too, but you used to go to New Zealand, it was just loose.
Yeah.
You'd be doing all sorts of adventure sports because you could. And then people go to Bali and they jump on those little parasail stuff, and eventually somebody falls. And you're like, well, that's why it cost you $30, not 180 like it does over here. Like, it's just a risk assessment you have to do yourself, but in Australia, we've just cut it away. It's like, no, you can't do your own risk assessment anymore. It's just nuts that we've handled any accountability off to the government, and then got upset that they taxed us 45 times. And you're like, it's a self-fulfilling, like it's a self-licking ice cream, basically. Like we make the problem, and then we take less care about ourselves because you're like, oh, well, everything's super safe now, and then somebody else gets hurt because you're so blasé about life, and then next minute you got to fix that, and now you're just like, you know what? Don't leave your house. Safer to just never leave your home. Yeah, it's just bizarre. What are you up to then? What are you going to do now?
Well, as we prophesised with Jarryd Gandry, I did end up homeless for just over 1 year.
He's in a care carnival. You're in a decent.
Yeah, I'll qualify that. I was not sleeping rough on the streets. I had a little pod caravan, but yeah, that was interesting. It was done out of necessity by being pensioned out of the police and the massive sort of income drop that comes with that. So I had to sell a house very bitterly and decided to hit the road for a while to sort of balance out all that life and finances and stuff like that. So first few months were good, had a lot of things planned and went to Fink and that sort of thing. And then when the reality of being a van lifer hits, it's a pretty lonely, boring life. And other people in vans didn't want to hang around and chat like I sort of thought they would.
That's weird.
Yeah, I was quite surprised. Caravan parks they will, especially all the old boys who want to come over and ask what your GVM and tow rating and stuff is. But yeah, actual van life people parked up at beach car parks. I really just got nothing out of them, which surprised me. I thought that was going to be quite a social sort of little scene. But yeah, just earlier, February this year, finally bought a property again out in the country. And so really settling into that quieter life. And I think, don't suggest it to everybody, and it certainly was easier without having a family, but that year on the road probably really grounded and reset me.
Are you homesteading? Are you like making your own food and all that sort of stuff as well? Like,
yeah, getting into it for sure. Be trying to grow quite a lot of veggies. I inherited a beehive there, which unexpectedly has been a very profound experience. If you've never been over a beehive with a bee suit and been covered in 20,000 bees, I think that we should form like a bee therapy type treatment. It was absolutely staggering experience, and a first responder friend who we call the bee master helped me out and loaned me a suit, and I just think it's so strange, but the gift that he gave by showing me how to open up a beehive, and you actually have to do a fair bit of maintenance.
Oh, really?
It's a very symbiotic relationship where one needs sort of each other to really thrive. And so to have a bit of property, the joy of, these bees and mowing the lawn on a ride-on mower and things like that, the simplest, dumbest things can be the best.
Ride-on mower is everybody's dream.
Yeah.
Especially having enough land to be able to have a ride-on mower.
Correct, yeah. So, yeah, I think the year on the road has really made me appreciate that and sort of the quieter life, and just already I've got deeper connections in this small rural town than I ever had in an apartment block in Richmond or something where you wouldn't even know who was in the next apartment. People within a week were, offering to loan me hydraulic log splitters and excavators and things like that. And I think even tradie mates wouldn't loan you a drop saw sort of thing. So really landed well there, thankfully, finally.
With the bees and stuff though, like you find that you can build and you make a whole bunch of like food and stuff. Like, it's great to have bees.
A lot of honey comes from them, but there's a lot of flow on how they'll pollinate your other plants. Yeah. They're very good for your vegetable garden. Very important for our ecosystem as a whole. And you can have them in the suburbs as well. There's some great hives that are quite easy to use these days.
Over the road from where we're parked at the moment, that'd be an amazing spot, I reckon, to have a beehive, because it's not close. It's not that close that people need to worry about it.
A honeybee will travel up to 10 kilometres each day to find pollen. So it actually doesn't really matter where you live. They will find something.
Yeah, right.
And some of the most flavoursome honey apparently comes from suburbs, because the density of different flowers and plants in all people's gardens are just everywhere. So
I don't know when I turned into a bit of a honey nerd, but I went to some farmer's market and there was a bunch of different honeys there, and it was bizarre that they taste so different, because I never got into wine or anything else. Dark chocolate and honey has been like a thing that I'm quite happy to be a connoisseur of.
I think I'm learning, like all things, and I'm happy to sound like an idiot saying this, but when you have real vegetables that someone's grown in their backyard, or honey that hasn't been homogenised like our milk, They are unbelievably tasty. So yeah, I'm just really buying into that sort of thing at the moment. We've always sort of hunted with friends with rifles, but I think the pursuit of a bow hunt life, which again, I'm on the fringe of the Otway Ranges in Victoria. So my commute to be on the dirt bike or to get out with a bow, acknowledging how hard it is to get an animal or a deer with a bow, but I think just those pursuits of things that are that lifestyle of that region will be very enjoyable.
Have you touched base with Caruana about the bows?
Yeah, not recently, but we talked about it. Yeah, so I'll try to get out with him.
It'd be funny watching a vegan come out with you.
Ethical vegan.
Well, that was the thing.
He hunted meat.
Yeah, he was like, I'm not killing. Like, if I haven't killed it, I'm not eating it.
It's the only vegan I've ever met who had the right reasons for not eating meat.
Yeah, yeah, it was good for him.
But yeah, paired with that, I got into the security industry over the last year as well, sort of slowly. And, again, there's all sorts of different areas of security, but why that mattered is because I got to reconnect with some of our good teammates, some of the best people that we'd worked with, and they gave me the return to work that our organisations had promised to. They were supportive leaders. They, just let you start slowly and build up that incremental exposure. So, they know who they are, but I'm eternally grateful for them. A label that's on myself and a lot of people now is pensioner, but they made it clear very early on. It's like, we know your work history and others. It's like, we just want you to be part of the team, whatever degree you want to be. And so, yeah, a lot of growth came from that, just being like, oh, okay, not everybody's written me off and is labeling me. And so I've been able to do not full time, but to contribute to some operations and actually work on some pretty novel clients, get a window into some lifestyles and private business that we had never seen before, and met some of the greatest people ever. And
Taylor Swift?
No, but you never know. But not necessarily people whom you would know the names of, but very successful business people, and people getting threats and that sort of thing. But yeah, that's just been amazing to have clients who want to have you around, want to go to the gym with you, things like that, driving around in their cars, just having conversations. And one thing I've found with all these hyper successful people, Matt Morris included, is they are just curious. So it's hard to get a question in because they just want to learn about you or the people around them, and they just seem to be absorbing everything that's happening around them. So
one thing that I'd back on that as well is, like, now that I have that role in the council, I meet a bunch of people now who I would never have had access to doing anything else.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is how much research they do.
Yep.
And especially coming from this podcast where I did nothing I was just like, I will find out in the interview. That was always my plan.
Yeah.
But I'll meet people now that are like high up in KPMG, or they'll be, there might be a mayor in their area, or they might be an investor, or they might be a developer, or whatever else it is. And just the effort that they go to find out about you beforehand is interesting. Like, I can see why these people are up there. Like, they already know a bunch of stuff before they go in their room. Like, they know they know who they're talking to before they come up and talk to you. I've had randoms come up and go, hey, mate, I've seen you around doing this and doing that and doing whatever. And then they'll be like, oh, that's really interesting that you used to do this in Black Hawks or whatever. And I was just like, I don't even know this bloke's name. And he's come up and he already knows this and that. They go and do research. They work out what they want to get from you, because that's the other problem when you're in this role. They're not coming to talk to you because they just think you're cool.
Lobby.
Yeah. But it's interesting that they do that research. And it's funny, the higher up, even though you're sitting there going, why would somebody waste time speaking to me? And it's like, this person's making 15 times what I'm on. But the problem is they need you to do something before they can do that.
Yeah.
So it's funny where they go out of their way to try and work out, how do you tick, what are you into, all that sort of stuff. And it's funny coming from the I know you don't know this, but I used to be a negotiator. But just just
counsellor and negotiator. Well, there's a fair resume being built here.
But
The honourable Chris Person.
Oh, there's no honour in it. I don't know why they have honour. It's just bizarre.
Is that actually in your title?
No, not at all.
Is that just the mayor?
No.
Or
It's
is that
like
just a judge?
no. It's like cabinet. I think.
Yeah,
It'll be members of the cabinet.
The dishonourable Chris Person.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, there's no honour in those people anymore. Like, they're not statesmen, so I don't know why we've still got that term. But yeah, it is quite funny seeing these people who are really high up in their industry, but they go out of their way to talk to some dude who's like a part-time politician.
Just trying to get the rubbish emptied.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He's like, mate, why's my footpath bloody, why aren't the pavers level? But it's, but like these, it's funny the people that might be on welfare will come and just abuse you for a pothole. And then these people that are making a fortune and live in a gated community will come over to you and be the most polite people ever. And it's just upside down world. But just seeing how those people operate. And I think the biggest thing I thought I took away from, and like this whole podcast thing, and A is just do it, which is funny because that was really early on with Maddie that we learnt that.
We could have just been, we're done.
We should have retired. Should have retired on top. And then, and then just meet your heroes is probably something. Like I know people say don't meet your heroes because you get let down. And I said, well, I'm probably the opposite on that because I might meet your heroes so you realise you're not that far from there. Like if you want to achieve something, go and meet the people that are doing what you want to do and realise there's no difference between them and you. I mean, some of them do have some sort of weird head noise going on, which is why they're so dedicated or whatever. Like a lot of people have their own demons that they're trying to run away from, which is why they're trying to get away from a childhood or they're trying to do this, trying to do that. That's fine. But you'll also realise that they're not really that much different. So that was sort of my biggest takeaway from that. But it's been a real ride, really, going from where we started. I mean, I remember when we got to like our fourth one, and you're like, "Hey guys, we've made it," because you're like, we're already
statistically,
you're like statistically, we're ahead of like 80% of podcasts.
Well, there's around 60 episodes out there, I think, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, we're just going through some stats before. We're like 83 countries. We're massive. Our fourth biggest country is Algiers, which is what? Because it was Australia, America, New Zealand, Algiers, UK, which is bizarre.
Very bizarre. There must be some, the algorithm sends little samples to try places.
I was thinking that, but then also like you look at our audience, they do hang out in
Are we calling out our Geelong friends?
No, they're a waste of time.
Yeah, they didn't even listen apparently.
They were like the 173rd city. Yeah. Like Ho Chi Minh was in front of them, like Helsinki was in front of them. Like, leave us alone, Geelong. We don't care about you guys anymore.
Well, Hiroshima had more listens than Geelong.
Yeah. Yeah, that's bizarre. It's probably intel gathering. They're like, our time's come.
We're a threat.
Yeah. But, just bizarre. How many different places, how many different cities. And like you can see now too, like realistically, they're probably, most of them are veterans. And you can just see, because I thinking about Helsinki, I do actually have a mate over there. Okay. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's Kim. Hello, Kim. How you going, mate? If that's him. But, and then there's friends of ours working for the UN and there's friends of ours working all over the place that are, and not even just us. Like obviously we don't know everybody that's listening to us, but, friends with Maddie or any of these communities, like they go and work security in these places. So, if you look at the dots as to where our people might be working.
Well, they've got their VPNs
that sort of lines up a little bit more.
Dubious places.
Yeah. Their VPN's actually trying to get them rated. It's like.
And the other part worth saying, since a lot of our listener was, veteran or first responder, but, I probably had a pretty dim view, a very jaded view of the world, certainly. But I've met so many amazing people in the real world this year, and they do exist, where we're in those echo chambers, as what would Kevin Gilmartin have said, I'm surrounded by dickheads and everyone's an asshole and all that sort of thing. But it's been a real breath of fresh air to go and work with some normal businesses and have great conversations and just see one of the young tech companies, just seeing these, I call them kids, which is a bit insulting, but just in relative age, but they're just getting after it and they're so smart and they're so plugged in. And I just feel lucky to have been a fly on the wall and see some of their enthusiasm and, be in totally different environment. They look after their staff. I've observed one of the best leaders I've ever seen in all my careers is a tech CEO, and he's quite young, and I'd just like to observe how he very decentralized command sort of style with his team, and I just wonder like how he's acquired that skill. So I would have also had that view that you had to be, had to have been a soldier to be a leader or something like that.
Who'd you lead?
Not at all. So it's opened my mind to some of those assumptions that we had, and
which is pretty funny because realistically, we had a lot of shit leaders. It's like
we got more examples of bad leadership than
it's like assuming that somebody would be a better leader because you're there is funny. But there were also a lot of dudes that were on the van that should have been leaders.
Oh,
but they just wanted to keep doing the job.
Yeah.
There's heaps of guys where you're like, why aren't you going to be a sergeant? It's like, why aren't you? You're like, well, because I want to do the job. He's like, ditto. And then it was almost like if you were bad at the job, you were probably more likely to get promoted.
Yeah.
Because everyone else wanted to keep doing it.
And they needed them to keep doing it as well. So sometimes the underperformers just went up.
Well, you were less. It's funny because, and policing is weird like that, where the most damage you can do is your intro level. So like a senior sergeant's not going to go out there, and then, there are some loose senior sergeants that'll go out and do it, but they're all booted now anyway because they'd actually make their own decisions and do the job. But like it's your junior members that go out there, and they're making the calls. They're the ones that are going to get stabbed. They're the ones that are getting into shootouts and doing whatever. It's never an inspector, senior sergeant or
divisional
above.
vans always and always will be the hardest and most dangerous job in policing. And it's the newest, youngest members do it day in, day out.
Yeah, and they rush them off as soon as they can. And then you're like, well, like the sergeant's the last actual operational dude. And then they skim through that.
Neither
you can be
of us
sergeant.
made it to sergeant.
No.
Correlation there.
No. Well, I got my 10-year diligent and ethical service medal. I wore that Anzac Day.
Did you?
Yeah, got it out
on the right breast. It's a bit awkward when there's just one lonely medal over there.
Yeah, and it's just I was very like Napoleonic Wars. It was just flapping around like it's not a core mount, not a core mounted one. It's but I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm about it. And I do think that there is a bit of a change at the moment. Like I saw a bunch of like BRS shirts. The RSL, and it was funny because it's just like it's almost like that's a protest vote against the government now.
Definitely.
It's unfortunate that there's a guy who's going to get drawn all over the coals for it.
You've got to wonder where would you find an Australian in the street who would have been like, put him on trial, 99 out of 100. They wouldn't care, but who was calling for it? Like it's just bizarre.
Yeah. I think they also need to justify having something being that there was a terrorist attack in the meantime. Whilst they put all their intelligence officers to go and have a look after the boys rather than the people that came in. But just crazy times. But it is interesting to see. It just seems to be we're getting a little bit more old school Australian again, and then like ideally people start playing sports and stuff again. But it's like isolation's such a massive thing now. And that's one of the things. We never did the challenges, which was disappointing. But again, that came from like we weren't filming stuff, we weren't doing any camera stuff. But that was also because, like we had current serving coppers who weren't allowed to do anything. So like we were sort of very limited with what we could actually do. Whereas with the Mad Dogs thing going forwards, like it's going to be more probably video centric. Like Sam already films pretty much anything he does. Like Sam will go out for a walk in the morning and he'll be like, hey, guess what I did today? And Chris has been doing like the Furphy files where he goes out and he does these things. So he finds out like local heroes and stuff. He started off with a lot of the World War I and II veterans and stuff that happened, and then he just sort of got into history. So ideally we'll get him doing more of them because he's slacked off on them whilst being very unslack on himself. Like he's lost 18 kilos. He's running like 4-minute 15Ks now. Wow. Like he's flying. But yeah, so ideally we'll, Sam and Chris will be doing more of that. And then, I've got a room with lighting and all that sort of stuff. Eventually I'll actually just use that. Well, the idea is Chris will come, he'll sit in here and then Sam will be up on the TV. So it'll sort of be the three of us hanging out anyway.
The Zoom podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. And like, so whether we use these mics or we use some other mics or how it's going to go, I'm not too sure just yet. But ideally, we'll be starting that up in May. So there's that, and then I know Jarryd's got some things in the works. He's jumping on board with some like proper film crews to see what he can do there, which will be fun. I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking about that, but it's the 15 people that listen to this will no doubt dob me in. But
on the hero side, like, and you horribly embarrassed me in front of Matt Morris, made me quite nervous. Technical difficulties. No, we're going. We're all right. But there's also some people like that who are just the best people in the world. Like, they gave their time when they were going to get nothing for it. And so overwhelmingly, we're just grateful at all the guests that we had that sat down, whether it was their first interview or their 50th, and we're just happy to have a chat and give us a chance. And I think that'll be the long-lasting benefit, is we just got to meet some great people and have some great experiences. And yeah.
Well, it's funny. I play volleyball every Wednesday, and it's great to have those lads together. But we have, like, when Jarryd comes over and we just get a bunch of us together to make reels, it's hilarious. Like, the clip goes for 45 seconds.
Yeah.
But we're here for 4 hours pissing ourselves laughing with 90% of the stuff is just, you can't use it. Like, like, it's just, we start off, it's like Jarryd has a line, then everyone tries to outdo it. We write down those ones, and then people go too far, and then we go 3 lines past it. And then we're like, you know what, we'll go back to this area. That was actually pretty funny, and we could probably post that. But it's funny seeing it going that way. And then, and then the boys are all here talking crap while Jarryd edits. And then Jarryd will put it out there, and then everyone watches it. And you can just see everybody's watching it on their own phone. And then for the next 30 minutes, it's like, 1,500. Oh, we're up to 3,000. And it's like, it's funny because it doesn't mean anything to any of us. But it's hilarious to sit there and watch it. And it's like, I mean, they're Jarryd's views. It's Jarryd's business. But I think he also gets to enjoy seeing us laugh at it, even though we're in it, and seeing what he's done with it, even though there was some terrible takes by us. But even just like, I'll jump out of that bush. They're literally just around my house. They're jumping out of the pantry. They're jumping out of the bush at the front. They're, like, the production quality is not amazing. But it's hilarious being part of it. And I like watching them now just to be like, oh, yeah, I remember when that happened. It's not even the reel that I'm laughing at half the time. It's the banter behind the scenes.
I remember before I did cut the socials, one of the most common comments with Jarryd was that physical training tracksuit that he got, the ADF one. It was like,
it's just there. It's hanging up in there with the Johnny Howard and stuff.
It is just, like some of the props when, you just yourselves or you're unshaven and that, but you're using like the military and police props, so like it just made it. Yeah.
Well, there's the hat's up there. The Johnny Howard jacket's in there. The old Sam Ride PTI jacket. He left it here and went up. That's mine now.
Yeah.
But it's been in more reels than Sam has now, which is great. But now I've got I've got an SES t-shirt. I've got a CFA helmet. It's just funny now, the stuff that appears, because obviously Jarryd's always on the road. He doesn't even have a house anymore.
Yeah.
Like, he's just traveling around. So now we get stuff sent to us. We got a Navy jacket. We got an Air Force one. And then there was a closing down costume store, which is why we've got this old Cerberus outfit and all sorts of shit. So it only fits like 2 people though. It's this tiniest little outfit. And it's painful for people to get into. But it's just been funny to see the lads get together. Then we did one at the Lara RSL, and then they got involved, and now Lara RSL and Norlane RSL are getting along. Drysdale are getting involved. Hawthorn RSL come down here. Like, it's really showing, and it's actually using the internet for social stuff, and it's bringing people closer together again by, like if Jarryd's at the Hawthorn, then he's at the Lara one, and then he's up in, Broadbeach or wherever he is, or he can be the Townsville one or whatever. And, everybody's so much closer again then. And then, like, the Lara RSL one was interesting because you had all these other RSLs commenting on there. And they were RSLs from around the country. And then WA had their RSL opening, and they showed it as the opener. It's just it's funny where it's going. So that was one of the best RSLs going around, because the CEO of RSL Australia emailed us, and he's like, "How do we get more of these?" And we thought he just meant he wanted us to actually do some more about RSLs. And then we're like, what do you mean? It turns out he just wanted us to send him links because he just doesn't know how to use the internet. But like he loved them. He was all about it. So it was really funny seeing, I don't know if we're Republic back it. There's a new one now anyway. But it was just funny to see how far it would go and how many people got involved. And then obviously Jarryd he's doing the Tour de Force where he was traveling around doing that. So it's like, I mean, he's first to market, but also I haven't seen any other veterans doing what he's doing. I mean, no doubt there's some trying, but Jarryd's like, he's got a run army. He's been a run army ambassador and he's doing all these sorts of things. So there's definitely lads now that are doing stuff. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jarryd goes and he appears on like a Peter Hellier show or something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like eventually I dare say he'll turn up because he works a crowd really well. He's got great crowd presence. He's great at being like at improv and those sorts of
Very
things.
good.
So it wouldn't surprise me if he does eventually turn up and do something cool soon. But and I know he's going to the Edinburgh Comedy Festival. That'll be this year.
Amazing.
And then he's already reached out to like Mandatory Fun Day and some other people. Like he talks to them as well. Like it's crazy how much just doing these sorts of things, if you do them, and then you get a bit of airtime on it, other people will see that, and then they'll be. We had Vet TV copied a sorting hat thing. So we did the sorting hat, and then we did 2 more of them, and then Veteran TV had a collab with somebody doing a sorting hat, and I was just like, if that's not flattery, I don't know what is. And it's like there's just
sorting hat.
It's literally just where we put it's like Harry Potter, where you put a hat on and tells you what house you're going to, like Gryffindor or whatever that thing is, but we just had it where you put the sorting hat on, and you're just like, oh, Navy, etc. Because you go. But it was hilarious just how many people got around it. But yeah, so I just don't know where it's going to go. Look, it's just consistently getting large views to do stuff now in these collaboration ones, which is just amazing to see what's been happening.
Well, it's also the epitome of what Jarryd told us is comedy is 2 truths with a link that nobody's noticed before.
Yeah.
And so the reels are offering people almost like a mirror to their service experience and getting a laugh out of it. So it's not shocked me at all that they've crushed.
Well, it also shows that like we don't grow up. It's the other thing.
True.
Like we get out and we're still the same. We're still the same larrikins, just pretending.
Yeah.
Like there's mates of mine now that are like pretty high up in like corporate gigs and stuff, and they just say unhinged stuff on emails to other mates of theirs, and then he'll be like, "Watch this email," and then he sends one out, and it's just like, "Yeah, look, I'd love to just do this and do that, and then we'll circle back, and we'll go fly a kite, and then we'll do this." Like just all the corporate jargon, and they put it out there, and you're just like, "That's not him." And then you're just like, everyone else that's listening to it is also lying. Like nobody's being legit. And then you can come to the reels and you just piss yourself laughing, and you're just like, they're 45-year-old dudes that just are still 16, but then there's 70-year-old dudes watching it who piss themselves laughing and they're still 16. So it's just it's just been a wild ride, this whole thing, really.
Well, I hope it continues well for you in the new iterations, and you might have to split the listener between both.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, and I've been talking to my mate Claude and Chat and Manus and every other artificial intelligence.
Living in the metaverse.
Yeah, basically. And, like, so one of them will be more like for LinkedIn and stuff like that, which seems to be getting funny anyway now because there's a bunch of weird stuff happening on LinkedIn. Like before it was just grown-ups having grown-up conversations and they'd have arguments online, but they'd actually put references in there, which I was just like, gee, this is very grown-up. Whereas now they're starting to post weird videos like it's Facebook again. But so it's forwarded more for that, where we'll be talking about grown-ups and stuff. And then the other one will be sort of more your Instagram, YouTube, Facebook groups where we'll just be taking the piss and doing whatever. I'd actually be keen to do like a live as well, which would be funny, see how that goes and just see, because if we're actually able to, if it does all right, then maybe the boys will be able to commit to doing like one Wednesday a month or whatever else it is where we do a live. But we'll see what happens. But like I'm not really trying to put any pressure on it, but I am interested to see how algorithms and stuff work. Because we got nearly 18,000 downloads for this, and it was never advertised. We didn't do an ad. We didn't do an ad anywhere.
Quite a lot of shares from people, which is very helpful. But yeah, it's pretty staggering, and probably that's where some of the complex came from.
Yeah, I think that was the thing. Like it seemed to resonate with a lot of people, and I had people recognise my voice, not me, because obviously we're not on here. So I was in Adelaide, and people came over and they're like, what, do I know you? I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I feel like I've heard you before. And I was like, yep. Maybe. Have you listened to Matty Morris? And they're like, yes, that's where it is. It's like, whereas now I get people, they're like, did we work together? Because they've seen my face. And I was like, do you watch Jarryd's Reels? They're like, yep. Whereas they all just think I've worked with it.
Would your Zero Limits had 40,000 listens or something?
Yeah, the last time I asked him, it was like 38.5. So I don't know now. Yeah. Might have gone backwards if you can.
And Jarryd's get hundreds of thousands.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, his Reels, yeah. Yeah, like nuts. It's just bizarre. It's crazy the reach of social media. But look, I mean, the crowd too, like they're not really, I haven't seen any real negative stuff on there. We had one on like a vintage one. We did like a Antiques Roadshow thing. And some dude goes like rot in hell or something. We were like, what?
It's having a bad day.
Oh, it's hilarious. I was like, of all the reels to get upset over, that was just the most bizarre. Like Jarryd eats a crayon. Well, what are we getting that worked up for? But yeah, I think that's about it, man.
Yeah. Well, we'll look forward to watching what you guys do next.
Yeah. And
watch out for the socials to see where Councillor Burson pivots to.
You had to throw it in, didn't you? I was just going to say it's all the ones that we did really well at was the ones that you were in. Like after that, people were interested in it, but people really seemed to like the feedback I always got was we loved having Al on because he was the one everyone associated with, and then they're like, and it was just funny watching you take the piss out of him, even though he was like you were actually the show. I was just the dude chirping from the side. So that was a real pleasure, and I really enjoy still listening to like the start ones where we were like we're going out to the Simpson, or like when it was you, me, and Fedora at the start, and we were like, yeah, we're going to fill Rod Laver and we're going to do this and do that. I was like, oi boys, put out some really outlandish stuff, and then so it was interesting, and then seeing Jarryd and some other people now that we're on like 3,000 or 5,000 followers who are now also 40,000, and had we have done video and committed and done like it'd be interesting to see where we were. Like we actively tried to be the least the least followed thing going, and we still got 18,000 listens all over the place. So I think even as much as we tried to basically be a failure, it still did so well, and we got to meet so many people. And even like I'll probably take the Imposter one down because I'm paying for it every month, and then I'll probably re-upload them in different because there's two different styles. Yeah. So I'll probably upload them again. But realistically, I love listening to them. Like I've downloaded them all. Yeah. So like we can just give them to you. But it's been a pleasure, and thanks very much for coming back again.
Thanks for having me back. Sorry I bailed on you at its peak.
Well,
I'm glad you've kept doing stuff and that you've got plans to keep going now.
Well, yeah, I guess that's about it. I might just do this one more time.
Oh, thanks for listening.
But then we'll also do Matty afterwards. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Just do it. What's the worst that's going to happen? Just do it. Simple.